I just found one of the most interesting leaked prompts available, and it is a leaked prompt by Manus AI. For those of you who don't know what is Manus, Manus is a very famous AI agent. I actually made a video about it a few days ago, and I showed you the results. It's very interesting. It's pretty powerful. When I did like very simple task or even moderate complexity task, it performed very well. But when I did very complex stuff, it still didn't deliver. But all in all, this is one of the most powerful agentic frameworks or automations available at the moment. So I found the leaked system prompt, and I believe that we can learn a lot from the system prompt. First of all, how they structured the prompt, and second of all, the amount of tools that they have defined in the the abilities of the agent. Before we dive into the prompt, let me show you just a few examples, which you can also check out on your own. If you come to the website Manus.Im, you see all of these examples. So let's say plan a trip to Japan, and this is actually a recording of the conversation and how the agent is going to solve this. So as you can see here, we asked for a 7 days Japan itinerary for certain dates, and then it started generating. You can see over here how it is browsing, how it's making the browser automation, scraping, building the itinerary. It also has like a progress, a markdown file with the progress, which as you can probably saw is called to do, in which it has like a checklist of all the things that he is supposed to achieve after the planning phase. And over here you can see exactly all the actions that it took. So searching, then browsing, scrolling down, searching again, browsing again, encountering a captcha. So this is just an example of how this operates. And as you can see here, they have like a to-do. It generates a to-do in the planning phase. And after like every iteration, it just checks another item in the checklist. So this is basically how it operates. I highly recommend that you check it out. But the most important thing that we wanted to share today are the system prompts. So I found this in this repository. I don't know if it's 100% accurate, if it's 100% up to date, but still I found it interesting, so I wanted to share with you. So we have these 4 files, and basically the prompt text basically explains the assistant broad capabilities. It covers how it is supposed to process data, create, and problem solve. It details the tools, and it gives prompting guidelines and examples, and it also lists limitations and collaboration advice. So this is how it is structured. So as you can see, it's in Markdown. Manus AI Assistant. Here's an overview. I am an AI assistant designed to help users with a wide range of tasks using various tools and capabilities. Now, these are the general capabilities. So information processing, content creation, problem solving. These are the tools, and in a moment I will show you how they define the tools. So they have browsing capabilities, so navigating to websites and web applications, reading and extracting content from web pages, interacting with web elements, clicking, scrolling, form filling, executing JavaScript in browser console for enhanced functionality, monitoring web page changes and updates, taking screenshots, etc. In terms of file system operations, so it can read files, search for files, create and organize directories, compress and archive files, analyze file contents, and convert between file formats. It also has shell and command line capabilities, so executing shell commands, installing and configuring software packages, communication tools, deployment capabilities, and supported programming languages. Over here, they list the framework and libraries. And here they have like the task approach methodology. So first, they understand the requirements, then they plan and execute, then they do a QA. In terms of limitations, so they have a list of all the limitations and how they can help us, and a few more guidelines. So be specific, provide context, structure your request, specify output format, And here are a few examples of good prompts and bad prompts. This is how they defined his purpose and how he approaches tasks. So analyze the request to understand what is being asked, break down complex problems into manageable steps, use appropriate tools and methods to address each step, provide clear communication throughout the process, and deliver results in a helpful and organized manner. Now they define personality traits and areas that the agent can help us. They define the learning process, the communication styles, and values that the agent upholds, which is pretty interesting. I never saw this type of definition in a prompt. Values I uphold, such as accuracy, reliability, respect for user privacy and data, ethical use of technology, transparency about the capabilities, and continuous improvement. Okay, so this is a prompt which is like the core, the foundation of the Manus agentic system. We have a few more files. So agent loop, which is kind of similar to the prompt. So if you want to read more about this, so I check out this file, but I'm not going to cover this in detail. We have another modules file, which is somewhat similar again. They define a few different things. For example, so they set the language and system capability. They describe something that they call event stream and modules. They define detailed operational rules. They include writing, coding, and browser directives, and they emphasize iterative agent loop workflow. So this is something that I actually saw in Manus when it was operating on my own task. So it performed very well in terms of self-correcting itself. So it generated the plan, it generated the to-do list, then it went and did it built whatever it was supposed to build, executed, and then it analyzed the output, and based on the output, whether it was it reflected and whether it actually worked, so it has moved forward. Otherwise, if it didn't work, so it just provided feedback and did another iteration. So this is something that is working very well in Manus and is often overlooked by many people who are building workflows or agentic workflows. And this is something that I believe me and other builders can learn a lot from, specifically from Manus. So this is in terms of what they provide in the modules. And last but not least is the most interesting, the second most interesting file is the tools JSON, which defines 30 functions. It's right over here. I highly recommend it. Check it out. You can also basically take this this whole file and use it in your own agentic workflow. It doesn't really matter which framework you're using. You can probably take this file and adapt it. But it's very interesting to see what are the tools that they're using. So one tool is notifying the user. Another tool is asking the user a question and waiting for the reply. We have the file read, file write, file string replace, file find in content, file find by name. Then we have the shell commands, so shell execute, shell view, shell wait, shell write to process, and shell kill process. Then we have browsing functionality, so browser view, browser navigation, browser restart, browser click, browser input, browser mouse move, browser press key, browser select option, scrolling up and down, console execution, and console view. And over here in the table, you can see like a more detailed description, although all the names of the tools are pretty straightforward. Next, they have an info, basically perform a web search query. Then they have deployment capabilities, so expose a local port publicly, which is temporary. And they also have the ability to deploy a static or an Next.js website. They also have an ability to turn a local Markdown file into a Manus page. And they also have a tool which is basically tells the agent to be ideal, signal all tasks done, agent enter standby, which is also interesting because I didn't think that this is someone will actually build this as a tool. Let me see. I think I covered everything. This is the tools file. that's pretty much it for today, guys. A very short video about this leaked prompt, which I find very interesting, especially the amount of tools that they have used and how they define them, and also a few elements in the prompt for the actual agent. Also, these are very interesting elements that I'm probably going to incorporate into my own AI agents. Yeah, that's it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, obviously like and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, keep on automating.